Procrastination, you feel it, I feel it, you might literally be experiencing it right now watching this video instead of doing what you're supposed to do. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, but I promise this will be worth it. Now, this is what I want to do in this video. Break down exactly what procrastination is and what we can learn from it. How to understand why you're procrastinating, what to do to solve this issue using my data system, DATA, and how to just get started, even if you're in the pits of procrastination, low motivation hell. It's weird that a 5-syllable Latin word has become so prevalent in the modern world, but it has become completely synonymous with our lives and our endeavors. Procrastination originates from the word procrastinatio, meaning a putting off. Pro, meaning forward or forth, and crastinus, cool word, meaning of tomorrow. So in essence, people have been doing this since at least Roman times, and most likely forever. So if you're struggling with procrastination, which thousands of you have told me you are, speaking to you in group calls, speaking to you in surveys, we're going to work right now on solving this. It is honestly unacceptable to let this issue keep you from achieving your goals. Now, if you don't know me, I'm John. I've grown YouTube channels to over 500,000 subscribers, generated over 150 million views, and now it is my mission to help 1 million creators grow and turn pro. And I'm also a serial procrastinator. Now, if that's you, let's crack on. But before I do, you may be interested in my new Creator Roadmap course and community, the Creator Dojo community. It's a course about learning to grow on YouTube by being completely authentic to yourself. If you're interested, then there's a link down in the description. So go and check it out and join us over there. Okay, so what exactly is happening then? Why does procrastination feel so overwhelming? It's multifaceted, but let's break it down by brain chemistry. We procrastinate because the brain's inbuilt reward system, driven by the neurotransmitter dopamine, constantly looks for things that can feed itself more dopamine. We're wired this way as a survival mechanism. So if you think about it, dopamine would flood our brain when we achieved something that mattered to our survival. It would drive our need to hunt and find shelter and eat, essentially. Complete a purposeful task, lovely dopamine. Lovely. Nowadays though, we live in a world purpose-built to hack our dopamine centers, which is why these videos are designed to be calm, and we're only using graphics to illustrate points. I'm not trying to hack your attention the whole time. I'm trying to hold your attention and deliver value. That's my promise for this channel. Let's keep going. But in this dopamine hacking world that we live in now, it's like creeping through Sen's fortress in Dark Souls, right? Instead of swinging axes and those weird like lizard knight guys trying to fuck up your quest, it's TikTok, it's email, it's football news, it's crisps, it's anything to just get that dopamine hit right now instead of doing the work. But as the Romans do, it's not just a modern problem. Let's take a trip back to 1800s France, or 1830 in fact. Famed author Victor Hugo, the guy who wrote Les Miserables, the book, not the musical, and Hunchback of Notre Dame, was so savagely racked with procrastinative tendencies that he came up with a radical and pretty bloody strange system for overcoming them. So like I said, it's 1830, and Hugo promised his publisher that he would deliver the manuscript for the Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1 year. But instead of working diligently on his book like he should be, Victor spent his time pissing about, hosting dinner parties, writing short plays, gallivanting around the city, basically doing anything other than the book. Sound familiar? Eventually, the sheer stress of his impending deadline became too much, and he came up with an extremely weird but very effective system for dealing with it. Now I know what you're thinking, he started cold plunging, right, and saying hustle a lot. Well, it turns out those things don't actually get your work done. So instead, our boy Vic bought a giant bottle of ink, I don't know how big it actually is, I'm assuming pretty big, and a long knitted shawl that he could cover himself in from head to toe. He locked up all his other clothes in a cupboard, and he gave his servants the key under instruction. They cannot give it back to him until he does his work. So there he was in his weird shawl like a grandma in a care home, scrawling out a masterpiece, because even if he wanted to do anything else, he can't go gallivanting around Paris with his balls out in a fucking disgusting large rag. But guess what? Victor smashed out his book in under 6 months, and he delivered it, and it was published 2 weeks early. Shout out Victor. He won because he created an environment where the work was the only outcome. So this is a lesson of success, but there's a lesson inside this as well. Even when there is a purposeful task to do, like writing an amazing book, you're not going to get the gratification that you want for the task within hours or weeks or potentially even years. It's no wonder. No wonder that the brain wants to do something that will give it all that dopamine hit just much quicker. There's a demon, a fiend in there, and it just wants the fucking juice. It's completely logical, to be honest. Stupid brain. But here's the kicker though, it's not just the fact that these quick hit dopamine fueling activities are more immediately gratifying than doing the work. The work itself is often conflated and mixed up with all sorts of negative emotions that make it even more disturbing. We've all felt this, right? The task that lies ahead of you, which for creators is building an audience, creating work that entertains, educates, inspires, connects, and turning that into a business, that can conjure up cruel feelings and inner dialogues. And we use these procrastinative behaviors and activities to mask those feelings. So it might be like your inner voice going, you're not good enough to do this. Everyone's going to see you trying and they're going to laugh. You might as well just give up. You're useless. You always do this. You always procrastinate. You know the voice. You've heard it. I've heard the voice. Now, eventually, we begin to associate our own self-worth with our inability to complete the task at hand. And how about this for a vicious cycle? So we fear failure, for example. So we fail by default by not actually doing the work in the first place because we give in to that fear. And then we mask and distract from that fear with our procrastinative behavior. So with social media or junk food or Netflix or whatever it is that you use. And before long in our brain, there's a direct correlation between our procrastinative behaviors and activities and our rapidly diminishing self-worth. It's almost like the work's disappeared and we're just connecting those two. So you then get in a horrible old state, and I bet you felt this, where you can't even enjoy your entertainment because when you do, you start associating it with feelings of guilt and low self-worth. So what do we do to mask those feelings? Yeah, you guessed it. Again. I call this the hell cycle. I've been in it many times. You might be in it now. Thankfully, there is salvation, but it is going to take some work. I am a serial procrastinator. I'm at war every day. Yet despite that, I've built YouTube channels close to 200 million views actually now. I've been my own boss for 15 years. Yes, I'm old. Working as a writer and a consultant before I ever said words into a camera lens. But if I'm a self-sabotaging, dopamine crack mess, and I was an even worse one back then, how do I manage all this? Because the truth is, if I can do this, so can you, and I'm going to help you through it right now. I've developed a system over the years, almost all through experience and then learning about procrastination, that I fall back on to help me figure out why I'm not doing what I need to do and how to conquer it. I call it the data system. Let's get into it. Let's start with a D. Detach. Now this is what we've been doing here. Once you understand what procrastination actually is, from a neurochemical point of view, from a psychological point of view, we can begin to detach it from any of the other bullshit that's going on and we associate with it. And we can begin to kind of detach from ourselves and kind of observe ourselves from third person. It's tricky, but I can guarantee we've all done it at some point where you just kind of look outside yourself and kind of observe your behaviors. Like, why am I reacting like this? That's detachment, right? And when you tie this detachment skill in with the cause of your procrastination, you can just observe and record, look at it, and then act upon it. So it's a beautiful thing, but if you find this a little bit confusing, I'll just take you through my typical thought process when I'm doing this. I did this yesterday. You go, oh, I'm noticing that I'm procrastinating, pissing about on social media, or I'm not even enjoying my procrastinative behavior. And this is because my brain wants a more immediate sense of reward and comfort than I would get from doing the task. There's probably something else going on psychologically, some sort of fear and therefore like inherent discomfort that I'm associating with that task. So that's it. My detached personality is pretty chill. Right, analyze. Now once we're in that detached mode, it's time to do a quick analysis of the issue at hand. What's useful is now, because I understand and have reminded myself, and I have to remind myself of this a lot, okay? I've reminded myself what procrastination is. I can accept that the task at hand, the thing that I need to get done, is more boring, is less appealing than about a million other things. This is a given. I know this now. So let's go a layer deeper. I'm going to give you some examples of my own typical procrastination modes. I'll give you 3 examples. Number 1, I procrastinate on admin, especially financial admin and books and stuff. I hate it. Now why is that? I feel it's incredibly boring, but I knew this already. I feel anxious about doing it because of a lack of clarity in exactly how to do it and a fear of fucking it up and doing it incorrectly and ruining my life and my family's life in the process. Yes, that is a bit dramatic, but fear tends to be a bit of a drama queen. So my procrastination score that I'm going to give that one is an A because I despise doing it. The boredom is intense, the fear is intense, and the consequences of failure are huge. Big issue for me, one I'm working through all the time. Issue number 2, I've been procrastinating on this new big project, meaning this new YouTube channel, my new newsletter, link down in the description, you should sign up for that, and the new business that I'm building around it. And why is that? Well, I feel overwhelmed because there's so much to learn and I don't know exactly how to get started, and then there's this platform to learn and this email system and this thing and landing page, and also I have a fear of this failing and it affecting my self-worth, and I'm just being open and honest with you about that. That's real, right? So the score I'm going to give this one is a B because I am overwhelmed. There is so much to learn and the fear of failure is there, but because I've got a lot of experience, I've failed and succeeded multiple times over, so I've kind of had the reps. I kind of just know what that feeling is and I can kind of dive into it a bit more. Here's issue number 3 for me, just normal day-to-day content creation, normal day-to-day work. Why? Just boredom. Not because I'm bored of creating content itself, I still enjoy it, because it's not as fun as eating an entire Easter egg or as dopaminergically immediate, I'm pretty sure I'm just making up words at this point, as watching YouTube videos or playing Elden Ring or something. I'm actually playing Sekiro at the moment. I've gone back to it. I want to play it right now, but I'm here doing this because I've got discipline. Procrastination score, just a D. It's there, it's always there. But like I said just now, the work is going to get done. It's been getting done for 20 years and it's going to get done now. So here's an action step for you. Try to analyze why you're putting off the task. Just free of judgment, just be honest with yourself. Don't judge it, don't get angry at yourself, don't get disappointed with yourself. And just write that down in your notebook. You should have a notebook, by the way. Just recording it will be super useful, and you might even be able to start breaking it down into smaller tasks, which will be far less overwhelming. It's what I need to do with a lot of this. Okay, T is for tactics. Now, once we've detached and analyzed our issue, we can begin to solve it. It's all good talking about stuff, but we need to solve this shit too. And this is where we can build some tactics into our work routine. Now, as you get deeper into your own work processes as a creator, and you get more experienced and just do more reps, you're going to come up with some of your own tactics, your own systems, your own stuff. But here's a solid framework to work from that will get you 90% of the way there straight away, pretty damn quickly. Now, I'm a firm believer in using deadlines and removing distractions. These are 2 of the most potent ways to lessen the burden of procrastination. Think about what old Victor did. He had a deadline, he removed all distractions and his underpants, the weird bastard, and the work got done. So we're going to create a deadline enforcement regiment. I did that voice for Joe, the editor, who's a massive Doctor Who fan. It's probably a terrible Dalek impression. Anyway, moving on. Deadlines are a powerful tool for creating action. If you have a job, right? If you're working right now, or even if you're in school, you have mandatory deadlines that you have to hit. They might be daily, weekly, and you're used to hitting them. So you've actually been doing this the whole time, even if you haven't actually put a name to it. When we're building a creative business though, there's no specific deadlines that we necessarily have to work with. There's no one telling us that the work has to be done. There's no job on the line, apart from your sanity and your soul when you give up on your dreams. I can be serious sometimes, that's real shit. Right, when I used to work on magazines, we operated with monthly deadlines, as you might expect, but they actually weren't enough to stave off procrastination, actually far from it. In fact, as they were monthly, almost everyone would put off the bulk of their work until the last week. And in an office full of gamer nerds with a room where people are reviewing games and playing them, a lot of distractions. Then deadline week would scream interview once again, and everybody would be hammering out 12 to 14 hour days writing, be killing themselves. They'd be killing the designers who suddenly had to lay out all these pages that should have been a month's worth of work in a week. And then the editor at the end, he has to piece the whole thing together. It's got like 3 days. Just ridiculous behavior, but yet it continued to happen month after month after month. Later on in my career, something happened though that allowed me to discover the true power of deadlines, even though the circumstances around it were pretty grim, to be honest. So I'd been in a job around 4 years and was eventually put in charge of a magazine. It's called 360, an Xbox 360 magazine. And as with all the other managing editors who with their twisted backs and sunken eyes, I was at the mercy of not only my own procrastination, but everybody on my team. It's karma, I guess. Until that is, we had a bombshell dropped on us. Now, when I took over 360, it was the worst performing gaming mag in the company, and it was in trouble. Now, we steadied the ship, but management decided to experiment with our health and our sanity by increasing from 13 issues a year. Did you know monthly magazines did 13 issues a year? There's 2 over Christmas, fact for you. To 17 issues a year. This is with no extra budget, no extra staff, nothing. We had to do 4 entire extra magazines than everybody else, a week less per issue. So it was a 128 page magazine in 3 weeks with 4 writers. Fucking hell. Even just thinking about it now just makes me feel sick. So there was only one way this was going to go with me quitting. Well, actually, took about a year, so I did this for about a year. I need to start enforcing deadlines within deadlines. Each week, every staff member that I had to hit a certain number of pages written. Design had to have a steady flow of pages coming through, even onto the next issue before the current issue. We had to plan ahead before the issue even went to press. It was a crazy system, but we built so many deadlines within it that we managed to make it work. The deadlines I imposed weren't real deadlines. I mean, technically, we could still leave everything to the last minute as we used to, but it was realistically the only way it was going to happen within this new ludicrous time frame. I was forced into becoming ultra organized just by the fear of just disintegrating into ash at my desk. But weirdly though, something happened. When we stuck to these deadlines within deadlines, we became unbelievably efficient. Now, the quality of the work itself could only go so high just because the time constraints were so crazy. But us, doing 17 issues a year, a week less per issue than all the other magazine teams working on their magazines, we were working less hours than everybody else. We get everything done in time to deadline. Now, the days were relentless, but they were smooth. While the other editors stayed hunched over their iMacs until midnight on deadline day, I was out the door at 6 p.m. Every time, mag sent to the printers, smooth. So I've taken these self-imposed deadlines within deadlines everywhere since. At least when I remember I'm not just drowning in my own procrastinative nonsense. So every day I write a list of tasks for the day, and I time block them. That's the crucial part. It's a rough guess, some things might take longer than I think, some things are shorter, but I'm giving myself mini deadlines all the way throughout the day. Now, it might sound stressful, but it's actually completely freeing. Plus, with every time block task that you complete, what are you getting? A little dopamine hit, thoroughly pleasant one. And when you start hitting deadlines over and over and over and over again, you build a powerful system that consistently reinforces you that you are capable and that you get shit done. Part 2. Distraction, elimination, protocol. Sorry. The second part then is killing distractions. Now this part's way more succinct, and you know it works already. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to give you something completely practical to do right now. When you're working, kill every tab in your browser apart from the one that you're working on. Just kill them all. You don't need them up. If you have to open another one, maybe you've got to reference check something, or if you did get just yanked into distraction by the dopamine fiend in your brain, then as soon as you notice, just close it back down. My phone has notifications off on everything apart from WhatsApp, and even that is silent with no vibration, okay? And just the other day, I put all the social apps that I was wasting time on in a folder on the second screen, second page of my phone. So now my home screen looks like this. That extra hoop that I now need to jump through to just check shit, I don't actually need to check shit, but that's what I have to do, has resulted in me lowering my average screen time by 80% per day. It's a terrifying stat in itself, but at least I'm moving in the right direction. So, deadline, enforcement, regiment, distraction, elimination, protocol. Very serious YouTube channel we got here. Build these into your life, and you give the dopamine fiend, that demon in your head, far less surface area to operate in. And now the A, action. Yes, this is the bit where you actually have to do the work. Now you're probably still feeling some tension here, and that's fine. It's normal. Remember, your brain wants to eat Pringles way more than it wants to do the fucking work. But your brain is also a fucking mad person because it actually wants the immense and longer lasting rewards of doing purposeful task completion. If only someone could tell it that. Well, we actually can by consistently taking action and building a reward loop that actually serves us. You say, but John, I can't start, I just can't do it. And it's like, well, unfortunately, you're going to have to start if you don't want to live a life of abject apathy. But it's true, I get it. The activation energy needed to go from 0 to 1 is hard. So, I use a simple principle here to help with this one. You cannot steer a parked car. The quicker you can just start the bare minimum of what you need to do, the quicker that demonic dopamine fiend voice just starts to dissipate. Right, you're a creator, so you're either writing, filming, editing, or publishing most of the time. And if you're writing, chances are you have an idea in your brain, one concept that jumped into your brain at some point. Get that down on the page, on the Word doc, whatever. Elaborate on it, write around it, above it, below it, whatever. This script that I'm speaking through right now is also a newsletter article, and I wrote this completely out of order. I don't always do that, but that was how it made sense to do it this time. I just had to get things into motion. When you begin that practice of motion, I guarantee things will start happening. You can even bargain with yourself if you want. I'm just going to do 2 minutes of work. I'm just going to do 4 minutes of work. New ideas will start popping into your brain when you start. Your language centers will start threading these ideas together into paragraphs or slides or a script or whatever it is that you're working on. And even though that demon, once its big hit, you're actually feeling it with gentle doses of dopamine. Now, I was going to use an adjective like clean or wholesome dopamine here, but in truth, there is no difference between the chemicals that are released from doing great purposeful work and by scrolling TikTok. And that's the danger, but the difference is one is far more intense. The TikTok one, it's like a sugar high and the crash is brutal. But the other is smooth and genuinely rewarding. And now as you keep going, you will likely hit that most beautiful of feelings for creators, flow. And just stay there. You know the feeling, we've all felt it. Stay there as long as possible. Allow the ideas to come. If it doesn't belong in the next sentence, just put it on another part of the page or write it down in your notes. Just flow for as long as possible. Even if you just manage 20 minutes or even 10, you're infinitely further along than you would have been at 0. Infinitely further along just from 10 minutes of flow. So there you go, data system complete. Or is it? You've seen there's more left of the video. Right, don't tell anybody, but there is another A. It would just ruin my acronym if I put it in at the beginning. The final A? Acceptance. Procrastination is always going to be there. There's no way of switching off your brain's dopamine centers because you need them. They exist as part of our ancient survival system. And nowadays, we live in a world that's relentless in its hunt for our attention and our dopamine. So I accept procrastination as part of my life. I cannot eliminate it, and sometimes it will get the better of me. But instead of flagellating myself about not filling every available minute with work, just look at the positives. For me, this combination of procrastination and deadlines has turned me into a sprinter. This is a superpower now. I can work at a pace few people can comprehend because I've got thousands of reps doing it. Perfectionism, there's just no time. Good enough is good enough. This is what happens when we build the deadlines within deadlines. So turn yourself into a sprinter. The work is going to get done. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe if you found this valuable. I'll see you very soon on the next video.